Hey guys, welcome back. It's Veronica. I know it's been a while since I filmed a video, and since the month is over, I figured that I would film another plan with you video since you guys usually like these a lot. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoy this one. So the first thing I started off with was my cover page. So I started out by drawing June in cursive, and then I tried to thicken up some of the sides so it looked a little bit more like calligraphy. Still have to work on my calligraphy. I know it needs some work, but I think this turned out pretty good. Then below it, I made a wreath sort of branch, and I just started filling this with green leaves. I added some maroon so as to be like flowers or blossoms, and then I also added some darker bluish green leaves as well. So then that is actually about it for my cover page. I kept it pretty simple this time. And then moving on to the next page, which is monthly tracking and goals and things like that. Now, I usually try and fit all of this on 4 pages, but since I've been so busy and I know I'm not going to probably keep all my trackers and everything up to date, I'm just going to concise it down to 2 pages. So I'm going to start off by making a box in the center of the 2 pages, and then I'm going to make 5 rows down and 7 rows across, and that way this will just be my calendar. On here I usually like to keep events and birthdays and things like that. So then once I wrapped up making the calendar, on the top I also put the days of the week, and then I numbered the pages. Then on the top I wrote June in the same cursive lettering, and I also made a floral viney wreath looking thing to go with the theme that I was going with for this month. And you guys can totally personalize this as much as you want, or maybe you could just put some washi tape across the top. I know that always looks cute. I was just feeling like doodling today, so I decided to do a more floral, leafy sort of print. So then next to the calendar, I'm going to put my monthly goals. I always like to have a spot where I can put things like this because then it really just makes me more motivated to do things and try new things. And on here I used to also put things I needed to do for the month, but since this was more of a goal and not necessarily something I wanted to get done, I also started making another section which is monthly to-dos. That way I can kind of see the difference between the two. To-dos are things that I actually need to get done, and goals might be things that don't end up getting done, but they're just things to do maybe when I'm bored or have extra time. So then on the opposite side of the page, I'm going to put my mood tracker. Now, if you guys want to see a bigger version of this, I also did pretty much the same thing in my last video, and it took up a whole page, but since I said like before I wanted to make this all go on to just 2 pages, I am just going to put it here. So how this works is I'm just going to draw a few flowers. You guys could draw maybe 1 for each week. You could draw 1 for each day of the month. You could really just do what you want. And then I added stems, and then at the bottom I added colors. And these colors are the colors that I'm going to use to color in the flowers, depending on my mood. So then once I finish the mood tracker, I have a little bit more space on the bottom, and this is where I decided I'm going to put my habit tracker. So once again, I used to use a full page for this, and I would track anywhere from 12 to 15 things. But since I don't have time, actually last month's tracker really didn't get filled very much because I was so busy, and when you get behind in that kind of thing, it kind of becomes difficult to start doing it again. So I just wanted to keep it simple this month, maybe take a little break from the habit tracker, and just do maybe 5 or 6 things. Don't get me wrong, I love the habit tracker, but sometimes it can get a little tedious. So to do the habit tracker, in case you guys don't know, I usually make enough rows of dots for each day of the month, and then I will fill that in all throughout the page. Most bullet journals have dots in them. This actually isn't a bullet journal, the journal I'm using. It's just a plain notebook. So I have to add the dots myself, which can be a little time consuming, but you know, it works for the tracker really well. So then I just add all of my goals by each row, and then I will fill the little squares in as the month goes on. So then in the corner I also had a little more space, so this is where I put more flowers for my mood tracker. This is one reason I really liked having the mood tracker on a page with other things, is because you could almost use the flowers as decoration and put them all over the page. So yeah, that's about it for my monthly page. And next we're going to move on to my weekly planning. So for weekly planning, I always like to have a week set up where you can see each day of the week. So at the top of the page I put June, and then below it I made another florally leaf thing. I also outlined this with black because it made it pop a little bit more. And then opposite to that in the corner, I'm going to put a small calendar, and this one is just going to be to kind of see where I am in the month. I'll usually take another color and I'll highlight the days that are going to be on this weekly planner. So then once I finished that, I will go down the page and I will make 7 spots, 1 for each day. And then I will section those off. Usually I use a ruler so that I can get a nice straight line. And then inside each of these little boxes I will put the day of the week and the date. And then I usually will just use each of these spots to maybe put things that I have to do that day, or events that are that day, things like that. And then on the opposite page is usually where I'll put all of my weekly tracking and such, maybe some notes as well. So I am going to start by making a workout and water tracker. I have tried several different methods for this, but none of them have really stuck for me. So I'm going to be trying a different one again. This one I'm just going to make a long column, and then I'll have a spot for each day of the week, and in each spot I will fill it out with how many gallons of, or not gallons, how many ounces of water I drank, and how many minutes I worked out. Then next to that I'm going to make 2 more boxes, and then at the bottom I'm also going to make a little spot for next week, and this is where I'll put my notes for next week, or to-dos for next week. I just like having a spot for things for the next week, because otherwise half the time I forget about them and I don't put them on the planner for the next week. Then I'm going to fill in the next 2 boxes. These are going to be for goals for the week and meals for the week. So the goals I usually will just fill in as I go, and then for the meals for the week I like to section off a spot for each day. I actually had one extra section, so in that section I wrote after 7 p.m. and this just means all of the food that I had after 7 p.m. I kind of like to track, because I usually try not to eat after 7 because it's supposed to be better for you. Then at the top, for a little decoration, I put some washi tape, and then I also put some on the corners of the goal box to make it look a little bit more like a note. And then I also had extra room on the top, so you could always put another tracker up there, but I'm just going to put a little quote to kind of fill in the space. So that is it for my planning for the week. I've noticed this has gotten really simple since I started bullet journaling, and this is just because I have gotten pretty busy, and so I don't have as much time as I used to have to put into the journal. So right now I just need something quick and simple, and this works for me. So That's awesome. So then the next page is my monthly stuff. I have my 2 trackers, mood tracker and habit tracker, and then monthly goals and my little calendar. And then I have my cover page, which just says June. So that is it for the video, guys. I hope you liked it. If you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!